Hey everyone, I just wanted to make a quick video in response to a comment on my last video. And I'm Sarita. I am sharing my journey of trauma healing and health and wellness with you, hoping to inspire you on your journey and give you some motivation. So the question from my last video, someone had asked about how in my trauma therapy we had combined internal family systems work, also known as parts therapy, with EMDR. And it's I will be explaining from my point of view of the person experiencing it. I'm not explaining it from the therapist standpoint. So remember, when you're in therapy and you've got your eyes closed and you're going through a process, you might not catch all the details. It's more about sharing what my experience is. So basically, we ended up combining EMDR and internal family systems work into my trauma therapy because there were some trauma targets that were just not moving, and they were not. It felt like I was clearing them, but then when we would revisit at another session, it would turn out, like we didn't really clear out the whole target. So my therapist decided, let's do parts therapy as well and see if that helps to clear out whatever is there. And so how those two work together is, in parts therapy, you basically identify these various parts within you. So like there's protector parts, there's exile parts, and you basically go through a process of identifying them and then having a bit of dialogue with them to see, what's the message. So like the protector part, having a conversation with the protector part, maybe so that it can tell you what it's protecting you from and why. And so she thought that might be good to do to get into sort of the deeper layers of some of the things that were going on with me as far as the trauma targets. And so we did that. And basically how it would work is, when I would have my eyes closed and she would take me through the process and the questions, asking the questions, when we would get to the part where we would identify the different part within me that is either the protector or the exile, and you can give them various different names as well, like what resonates the most with you. And so basically, when we would identify this, and we would get to a part that's like emotionally charged, right? Because you're hearing some of these messages from these parts within you for the first time, and you're getting insight for the first time. And so when we would get to a point of, okay, now I'm feeling triggered, what do we do now? Basically, that's when I would go into the EMDR process. So that's when we would identify that trigger and like that intensity when we would get to the intense part, and then she would incorporate EMDR into that. So we would do EMDR on that part. So if it was a protector part trying to protect me from something and it shares something very, I get this very vulnerable insight from myself from that protector part, then obviously I would feel emotional about it. And then we would go into more of the EMDR line of questioning, like, where do you feel that in your body? And when you think about this, what's the worst part of it? What is the negative belief you hold about yourself? And then what would you rather believe about yourself? And then you rate them on the scales, like, how you do in an EMDR session. And so we would just take that and run through a full EMDR session and then see how that, revisit that part, go back to it and ask it for more information, ask it more questions, and then you would see how charged you feel. And like, do I feel any sensations in any parts of my body? Do I feel anxiety in my chest or in my arms or in my legs? And we would just go through that process, clearing out that target. So that was helpful. It did help get through these like sticky parts of like the EMDR where I was not processing fully through things. And, they were pretty big trauma targets that we were working through. So once we sort of got to a stage of going through these stickier parts with the trauma targets, we basically then went back to, going through the EMDR process. So I hope that helps. I hope that gives you an explanation on how that process worked together. Again, I'm just going from what my experience was. If a therapist was explaining this to you, they might explain it in a different way. But me as a person experiencing it, this is what was happening with me. So I will be back with another video. If you have any comments or questions, please feel free to pop them below, and I will get back to you, and I will talk to you soon.